Om Shanti. Good afternoon. How are you all? And my voice is clear? I hope so. The voice is clear. Okay, great. So we have started this beautiful journey of reading this book. And this is such a powerful, such a beautiful book. And we are trying to understand the layers of mind, the layers of consciousness. What really is the meaning of being in the present, and what are the things which comes in the way of enlightenment simply means end of suffering, as Buddha says. So we all are suffering through our negative thought patterns, self-harming thoughts, tormentor, negativity, depressive phase, fear, anxiety. So this book is a wonderful guide. The author is a wonderful guide to help us understand more about it, more about our thought patterns. And today we are going to understand more about emotions. What are emotions, and how they generate, how it starts, and we are not our emotions also. And so how to disidentify with it, and what about the peace? What about happiness? So, what about peace? What about happiness? What about joy? So, how can we feel that? So, we are going to talk about it in details. So, I just want to ask you, how are you all actually? And if you remember the first day, that who are you? Do you remember who you are? Yes. First thing is, I am this moment. So, this soul consciousness, this awareness is that I am just this moment. I am not my past. I am not future. Things are not going to happen in the future. Happiness is not coming in the future. Happiness is not in the past. I am this moment, and I cherish this moment, and I make sure that I make this moment wonderful. When we are in the present, we are conscious. हम होश में हैं, and when we are conscious, there is a light in us, and in that light, the darkness cannot enter. The darkness cannot overpower. वो जो अंदर का बेहोशी पना है, वो जो रॉन्ग पैटर्न्स हैं, वो हावी नहीं होंगे जब जब हम प्रेजेंट में हैं. And being in the present heals us. When we stop the pattern, the stream of thoughts, we are in the no mind stage, which means the mind is not using us. We are taking a break from that pattern, thinking pattern, which has become so compulsive, so addictive. And this space, holds the power to heal, to be happy, to be joyful. So, yes, I am this moment. And where are we? Where are you? Where are you? Somebody is going to say, I am in Ahmedabad, I'm in Mumbai, you know, I'm in Delhi. Yes, I am here and now. That's it. And we have to feel also. Don't just say for the sake of saying. सिर्फ कहने के लिए नहीं कहना. Feel करना. I am here and now. And it's such a wonderful feeling, isn't it? That's great. Okay. Hmm. Yes. This, we all have concentration lapses, right? We all have, we all struggle with how to focus, how to be consistent, how to be in the present, basically. So, this series is going to help you to increase your focus, also increase your mind power to stay in the things, whatever we are doing, being aware and not distracted by our thoughts. All right, chalo. So let's resume where we left yesterday. So yesterday we talked about many things. If you remember that there is a mental noise inside of us, there are things in our mind which creates few things which may not be true because the ego wants to be in the past or in the future. ईगो फीड होता है पास्ट की थॉट से या फ्यूचर की थॉट से. Ego does not want to be in the present because ego does not have any power in the present moment. And what do you mean by ego? Ego means body consciousness. Body consciousness means all the negative things, all the negative habits, weak habits, uh, emotions, negative emotions arises from ego. We are going to go to the depth of it today also, but we have to stop feeding ego. And if you heard this story, that Sonu Monu story, I will again say it, not today, but some other day. But we have to feed Sonu, soul. So when we are in the present, we are feeding soul, which means we are increasing soul consciousness. So more we stay in the present, more we are conscious, more we heal ourselves, right? So this is the key to liberation. Liberation means feeling that freedom. वो आजादी feel करना inside of our mind that, you know, anyone can take anything from me. They can take money from me. They can do something wrong to me physically, but nobody has the power. Nobody can take away the power from me, which is how do I want to feel about me, about life in this moment. कोई मुझसे कुछ भी छीन सकता है, बट ये चॉइस नहीं छीन सकता कि मैं इस समय क्या फील करना चाहता हूँ. हाउ डू आई वांट टू फील. दिस इज, I hold this power and this is the key to liberation. ठीक है. So when we were discussing, so a seeker like हम जैसे जो हम आंसर चाहते हैं, so similarly the person is interacting with the author, so he's countering, he's asking that I don't want to lose my ability to analyze and discriminate. I would not mind learning to think more clearly in a more focused way, but I don't want to lose my mind. Gift of the thought is the most precious thing we have. Without it, we would just be another species of animal. So he wants to clear the doubt that when we are talking about using, not using mind, when we are trying to create a no mind space, that we have stopped that stream of thoughts. So he's asking that, no, I don't want to lose my ability to analyze and discriminate. I wouldn't mind learning to think more clearly, but the gift of thought is the most precious thing we have. Without it, we would just be another species of animal. So the author says the predominance of mind is no more than a stage in the evolution of consciousness. We need to go to the next stage now as a matter of urgency. Otherwise, we will be destroyed by the mind, which has grown into a monster. I will talk about this in more details. Thinking and consciousness are not synonyms. Thinking is only a small aspect of consciousness. Thought cannot exist without consciousness, but consciousness does not need thought. We can understand more about psychology also. If even if you are a psychology student, you would understand it, the depth of that human behavior through this. And if you have interest in philosophy, human nature, this is very wonderful. So what the author is trying to say is saying that the mind evolves. We needed thinking many years ago, many thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago. We needed thinking. We needed to come out of that caves. But now we need to go to the next stage as a matter of urgency. Otherwise, we will be destroyed by the mind, which has grown into a monster, which means the mind is very powerful. The thoughts are very powerful, but now it has grown into a monster, which means look at the world around you. There are so many things, but science has excelled so much, artificial intelligence has excelled so much, but now this is going towards destruction. Everywhere there is a war, there is a nuclear war, and we are harming our climate, our nature so much, the other species so much, just because we have overused the thinking, we have identified with our thought process. And look at our life. Depression is going to be the number one disease in the world. This has become pandemic. So this has become into a monster. So many of us have low self-esteem. So many of us have, if you have heard the term, some are apaths, sociopaths, if you have heard this term, they want to harm others, sadist. They people feel good. Um, they feel good while harming others, right? दूसरों को दुखी करके उन्हें ज्यादा अच्छा लगता है. This is what the meaning of monster is, right? So thinking is only a small aspect of consciousness, like we discussed. Let me clear this. I would request you to make notes if you can. So there is a soul. You can call it consciousness, soul, and soul has three parts, three faculties, powers, subtle powers, not like physical faculties, subtle faculties, powers. So one is mind, one is intellect, and one is sanskar. So mind does the thinking, but consciousness, soul, is not necessarily it does the thinking. Thinking is only a small aspect of consciousness. Thought cannot exist without consciousness, but consciousness does not need thought. Do you want me to unpack it more? थोड़ा और समझना इस लाइन को कि ऑथर क्या कह रहा है. Okay, so thinking and consciousness are not synonyms. Reason why we need clarity in this, because we think that the consciousness or soul or the mind does only thinking, but mind is just one part. Consciousness has some other things to do also, but without thinking also, when we are not thinking at all, then also we are observing. We are observing our thinking. So thinking is just one aspect of consciousness, right? Okay. Hmm. Enlightenment means rising above thought, not falling back to a level below thought, the level of an animal or a plant. In the enlightened state, you still use your thinking mind when needed, but in a more focused and effective way than before. You use it mostly for practical purposes, but you are free of the involuntary internal dialogue and there is inner stillness. When you do use your mind, and particularly when a creative solution is needed, We oscillate every few minutes or so between thought and stillness, between mind and no mind. No mind is consciousness without thought. Only in that way it is possible to think creatively, because only in that way does thought have any real power. Thought alone, when it is no longer connected with the much vaster realm of consciousness, quickly becomes barren, insane, and destructive. So think about the moments in your life when you wanted to create something, you wanted to do something creative, you wanted the solution of few things, you wanted to be clear, you wanted clarity, what I want to do, what I don't want to do. So how did you do that? We did that when creating a space of no thought. Can you recall what is your favorite thing? Let's say you love playing badminton. Let's say you love dancing, singing. Think about that. On those moments, there is a no thought actually. We are not thinking about past or future. We are in the present. Can you recall? Can you relate to this? So that is what inner stillness is. And that is where the creativity comes. That's what the author is saying, that those thoughts actually have real power. Otherwise, if we are not conscious, if we are not in the present or still, silent, thoughts, what kind of thoughts will come? They will be destructive. They will be barren. They will be insane. So the mind is essentially a survival machine, attack and defense against each other minds, gathering, storing, and analyzing information. This is what it is good at, but it is not at all creative. All true, all true artists, whether they know it or not, create from a space of no mind, from inner stillness. The mind then gives form to the creative impulse or insight. Even the great scientists have reported that their creative breakthroughs came at a time of mental quietude. The surprising result of a nationwide inquiry among America's most eminent mathematicians, including Einstein, to find out their working methods was that thinking plays only a subordinate part in the brief, decisive phase of creating act itself. So I would say that the simple reason why the majority of scientists are not creative is not because they don't know how to think, but because they do not know how to stop thinking. So what author is trying to explain is that that space is possible, and that space is actually the portal to our unconsciousness. That space is the portal to creativity. That's why we don't get clarity. We don't create things uh, which we used to create when we were kids, when we were in the present. We don't feel like painting. We don't feel like doing things. We don't feel like going out to nature, just, listening to that birds chirping sound, being in the silence, watching sunset, and thinking about something creative, doing something good. Reason being that constant chatter is there. And that's why we don't get clarity that what I want to do, that this is what the author is trying to say. So it wasn't through the mind, through thinking, that the miracle that is life on earth, on your body, were created and are being sustained. There is clearly an intelligence at work that is far greater than the mind. So, of course, we all are analytical minds, and author is trying to explain that there is far more powerful thing than just the mind, right? So he gives that analogy, that how can a single human cell measuring one thousandth of an inch across contains instruction within its DNA that would fill 1000 books of 60 pages each. That much information in the small part. So the more we learn about the working of the body, the more we realize just how vast is the intelligence at work within it and how little we know. When the mind reconnects with that, it becomes a most wonderful tool. It then serves greater than itself. We'll talk about it more in details. So, what are emotions? The body's reaction to your mind. So, what are emotions? I get caught up in my emotions more than I do in my mind. The author says, mind, in the way I use the word, is not just thought. It includes your emotions as well as unconscious mental emotional reactive patterns. I'll explain it, but let me read first. Emotion arises at the place where mind and body meets. It is the body's reaction to your mind, or you might say a reflection of your mind in the body. For example, an attack thought or a hostile thought will create a buildup of energy in the body that we call anger. The body is getting ready to fight. The thought that you are being threatened physically or psychologically causes the body to contract. And this is the physical side of what we call fear. Research has shown that strong emotions even cause change in the biochemistry of the body. These biochemical changes represent the physical or material aspect of the emotion. Of course, you are not usually conscious of all your thought patterns, and it is often only through watching your emotions that you can bring them into awareness. So, what the author is trying to say that emotions means when mind meets body, which means that emotions are just a reflection of our mind. What we think, the emotions are just a reflection of it. So he gives an example that an attack thought or a hostile thought, let's say we get a negative thought. So what is going to happen? It will create a buildup of energy in the body that we call anger. And let's say we get fearful. What is going to happen if we are threatened, even physically or psychologically? Psychologically means, let's say someone assaulted you, somebody said rough language to you, insulted you. So mind does not understand that is it happening physically or psychologically. So what is going to happen? It is going to create fear. So it is going to contract the body. These are the emotions which we need to understand. They are arising from our thoughts. And of course, he's saying that you're not usually conscious of your thought patterns. So that's why we are not able to understand that, why it is happening, what it is happening. So the more you are identified with your thinking, your like and dislike, judgments and interpretation, which is to say, the less present you are as the watching consciousness, the stronger the emotional energy charge will be, whether you are aware of it or not. So, okay, I'll explain later. Let me read the full paragraph. If you cannot feel your emotions, if you are cut off from them, you will eventually experience them on a purely physical level as a physical problem or symptom. A great deal has been written about this in recent years. So, a strong unconscious emotional pattern may even manifest as an external event that appears to just happen to you. For example, I have observed that people who carry a lot of anger inside without being aware of it and without expressing it are more likely to be attacked verbally or even physically by other angry people, and often for no apparent reason. They have strong emanation of anger that certain people pick up subliminally, and that triggers their own latent anger. So, what the author is trying to say is that more you are identified with your thinking, I think this should not have happened. The mind is creating something, and I'm identified with it. Mind is saying that they are not good for you. They have some hidden agendas, and it may not be true. Mind is thinking that they must be planning something against me. They don't love me. The more we are identified with it, my likes, my dislikes, I don't like this, I hate this, judgments, interpretation. So we need to keep asking ourselves, is it really true, or that my mind is creating this, that ego is creating this? Then we will find the solution. Otherwise, more we are identified with it, so we are less present, and more we are identified with it, the stronger the emotional energy charge will be, and I may not be aware of it. I may not be aware that what is happening in my body, what are the emotions. So if I'm not understanding it, or if I'm trying to avoid it, avoiding means, हम लोग क्या करते हैं जब कुछ अजीब सा होता है ना, कभी कभी किसी को हल्का सा एंजाइटी हो जाता है, या वी फील ऐसे रेस्टलेस ऐसा होता है ना, व्हाट वी डू, we cut off from that. How we cut off? We divert, we distract ourselves, escape from that thing, and हम किसी और चीज में इन्वॉल्व हो जाते हैं, है ना? आपने सुना होगा, अरे फॉर सम पीपल द सॉल्यूशन टू एवरीथिंग इज वर्क, है ना? और काम कर लो, सब ठीक हो जाएगा. बट दिस इज नॉट ट्रू. इफ आई एम कटिंग ऑफ फ्रॉम माई इमोशंस, what is going to happen? It is going to come purely as a physical level, as a physical problem or symptoms, right? For example, let me tell you that, it's a science. Let's say I get something hostile thing. I get fearful. I was being blamed. I was criticized for something. So I got fearful. And when we get fearful, think think about the days when as a human being, when we used to live in the jungle. What used to happen whenever we used to see an animal? The brain would create a signal that run, right? Same thing which happens, that when we get attacked, we get a signal to run, but we don't run because this is psychological, right? So all that extra energy, or you can say glucose, sugar, radiates to our body. And what is going to happen? It is going to get collected in the blood or in the joints, and eventually we will feel joint pain. Similarly, if you know that when if we have done something wrong, or we call it butterflies in the stomach, right? So it affects our digestive system also. So this is going to appear in the body. Ho- doesn't matter how much we try to escape from it, right? And the author has said one more thing, that if it is not enough, if we hold on to those emotions, what is going to happen? You are going to find people, if you have a habit of getting angry, you will find more people who may trigger you. Why? Because I have unconsciously attracted that energy, right? So the author says, if you have difficulty feeling your emotion, see, there is a saying that feel it to heal it, name it to tame it, which means that we have to feel those things. Feeling means do not get too much into it. Just ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Am I feeling good? Is my body good? Am I at peace? Or there is something going on emotionally? Uh, let's say you're getting fearful. Ask yourself, why are you fearful? Don't judge, don't criticize, right? Just ask yourself, because as the author says, the best way to deal with it is to feel it, is to ask yourself that, acknowledge that there is something wrong, there is something little disturbing, because author says emotions literally means to disturb, right? So if you have difficulty feeling your emotions, start by focusing attention on the inner energy field of your body. Feel the body from within. This will also put you in touch with your emotions. We will explore this in more details later. So the question which has come up is, you say that an emotion is the mind's reflection in the body, but sometimes there is a conflict between the two. The mind says no while the emotion says yes, or the other way around, right? Because see, there is a clearly a gap. Whatever we are thinking, it is reflecting on our body. It is, they are, becoming emotions, but it takes some time for this to reflect on your body. So the author says, if you really want to know your mind, the body will always give you a truthful reflection. So look at the emotion, or rather feel it in your body. If there is an apparent conflict between them, thought will be the lie, the emotion will be the truth. Not the ultimate truth of who you are, but the relative truth of your state of mind at that time. Let's say you're let's say if I ask you, if someone asks you, how are you, कैसे हो, so क्या कहते हैं? अच्छा है, बढ़िया है ना? But if you really want to answer it genuinely, just take a moment and just ask yourself, how am I feeling in my body? You will get the answer. I can't really explain that, how to feel that, how are you feeling in your body. You will get the sensation that, am I peaceful, or little shaky, little unbalancing in the body, not feeling very good, not feeling very active, feeling lazy, whatever. That is going to be the relative truth. वो सच होगा rather than जो mind create कर रहा है. This is what the author says. We will discuss it later on. Conflict between surface thoughts and unconscious mental process is certainly common. You may not yet be able to bring your unconscious mind activity into awareness as thoughts, but it will always be reflected in the body as an emotion, and of this you can become aware. To watch an emotion in this way is basically the same as listening to or watching a thought, which I described. The only difference is that while a thought is in your head, an emotion has a strong physical component, and so is primarily felt in the body. You can then allow the emotion to be there without being controlled by it. You no longer are the emotion, you are the watcher, the observing presence. If you practice this, all that is unconscious in you will be brought into the light of consciousness. So the author is simply saying, like we are doing, we did with the thought. I hope you are doing it throughout the day, that just observe it. And how to do with the emotions? Tell yourself, I am not my emotions, and just observe that, how am I feeling in my body? Is there any unevenness, unbalancing? Am I at peace? Do I feel good, or little anxiety, fear is there? Just observe. Don't label it. Don't criticize. Don't judge. The author says all that is unconscious in you will be brought into the light of consciousness. Whatever is hidden, all the negativity, suppression is there inside of us, it will come into the light. And when it will come into the light, it will start to fade away, and we will start becoming conscious will start getting healed. It's as simple as that. So observing our emotions is as important than as observing our thoughts. The author says, yes, make it a habit to ask yourself, what's going on inside me at this moment? So make it a habit to ask yourself, what's going on inside me at this moment? Not just thought, feel the emotions in your body also. Sometimes you feel something is not right. You may not be able to label it, you may not be able to tag it or categorize it. आप हो सकता है कई बार उसे नहीं समझ पाओ, वर्ड्स में नहीं एक्सप्रेस कर पाओ, पता ना लगे क्या हो रहा है. जस्ट ट्राई टू डू दैट. बस कोशिश करिए करने की. Because the moment we start searching for it, it will start losing its power. It will become conscious. It will come in the light. And when it comes to the light, we will be able to heal it. This is very wonderful, very powerful technique. And if you ask me, I do that. And it has helped me immensely. बहुत ज़्यादा इसने मेरी मदद की है. Asking yourself, what's going on inside me at this moment? अभी मुझे कैसा feel हो रहा है? How am I feeling right now? I, you have to be very honest with yourself. कोई pretending नहीं, कोई दिखावा नहीं, no pretending, no justifying, no explaining, not to the others, not to yourself. Just be very, very blunt, honest with yourself. That is there any trace of negativity, any trace of fear, any trace of anger, suppression is there, judgments, criticism is there? I have to remove it. Be very, very, very honest with yourself. That question will point you in the right direction. But don't analyze, just watch. Focus your attention within. Feel the energy of the emotion. If there is no emotion present, take your attention more deeply into the inner energy field of your body. It is the doorway into being. ये बहुत जरूरी है. Don't analyze. Analyze means we categorize. ये तो नहीं होना चाहिए था. I should not have these emotions. I should not feel bad. I should not feel jealous. I should not feel angry. Yes, we should not feel, but that point is not a right time to tell yourself that I should not feel this way. Just, just see it and just change it. So author says sometimes if there is no emotion present, take it more inside, which means now we are ready to go more into the depth of our being. Being means soul. So tell yourself that I am a peaceful soul. I am a blissful soul. And what is going to happen? Chances are you will feel it with more concentration. You will feel it. You will have a very good experience. ठीक है? An emotion usually represents an amplified and energized thought pattern. And because of its often overpowering energetic charge, it is not initially easy to stay present enough to be able to watch it. Emotions, energy in motion, they are so amplified. It's as simple as let's take an example that let's say I get a thought. I get a thought of, let's say, self-harming thought, addictive thought. Let's say you got a thought that maybe I should do this, and any negative habit, right? So when you get that, have you experienced that slowly you just got the trigger point? आप एक बस thought आया, what is going to happen? This is going to hijack all the brain. पूरे ब्रेन में वही थॉट फैल जाएगा. throughout the body it will go. So this is so amplified and energized thought pattern that because of this, it is not initially to stay present enough to be able to watch it. You will find it difficult that I'm not able to find any emotion, any fear, any anger, any jealousy, any criticism, any suppression, because this is so amplified. It is throughout the body, throughout the nervous system. It wants to take you over and it usually succeeds unless there is enough presence in you. Wow, so powerful. It wants to take you over and it usually succeeds unless there is enough presence in you. So the more we practice being in the present throughout the day, that is going to help us when there is an emotional turmoil, when things will not go, when a situation is coming which is not helpful. It happens with all of us, right? When something comes up which we were not expecting, we get emotional, anger, fear, whatever. We speak loud, we speak rough language. Then we realize I should not have done that because I was not present enough. I have not practiced enough to be present. That's why those things overpowered me. So if you're pulled into unconscious identification with the emotion through lack of presence, which is normal, the emotion temporarily becomes you. Often a vicious cycle builds up between your thinking and the emotion. They feed each other. The thought pattern creates a magnified reflection of itself in the form of emotion, and the vibrational frequency of emotion keeps feeding the original thought pattern. The thought pattern is becoming emotions. It is reflecting throughout the body. You feel contracted, you feel uneasy. And when you feel uneasy, that vibration effect is affecting the thought pattern. It is a vicious cycle. They are feeding each other, right? Okay, so are we there? Everyone is there? Can I get some replies from you? Are you listening? Is it helping you? It is getting little difficult, or you're understanding it, and um, maybe you can express something that yes, this is making perfect sense. Let me see some replies. Okay, going nice, going nice. Very good. And it is going to be better if you reply to everyone. I think everyone can reply to everyone. Please check. Uh, Team member, please check because I'm getting direct messages. So others are seeing maybe confused that nobody is replying. Acha, okay, okay. I have done it. Now you can reply to everyone so that everyone can see. Yeah. Okay, that's great. So everyone can relate. It's fantastic. Very good. Thank you. Okay, okay, okay. Let's come back then. So okay, let's come back. By dwelling mentally on the situation, event, or person that is the perceived cause of the emotion, the thought feeds energy to the emotion, which in turn energizes the thought pattern and so on. So, what is happening? Why this cycle is becoming? Remember, it starts with the thought. When a uh, comes up, maybe due to some external trigger, maybe just that habit of making things worse, because like he said that the mind has become a monster. Let's agree to it, right? So it has the thought has popped up, maybe an addiction, maybe self-harming, maybe overcomplicating things, maybe self criticism, making things worse. So then becoming, it is going to the uh, reflecting on the body. And when it is becoming an emotion, it is become very amplified. So in those moments, we can't really differentiate between ourselves and the emotions. हम खुद को वही समझने लग जाते हैं। तभी तो उस समय जब कोई बात होती है, लेट्स से कोई गलत बोलता है, उस समय हम उसे अम, ऐसे कह देते हैं, डांट देते हैं, हम भी जस्टिफाई करने लग जाते हैं। बाद में रियलाइज होता है कि ये नहीं करना चाहिए था, मैं इसे और अच्छे से हैंडल कर सकता था, राइट? So when those situation comes, we become those emotions because it is everywhere, right? So now the vibration level of this body has become very low. Low means negative. So all the negative thoughts it is going to attract. So it is becoming a vicious cycle. So learning from this is, first of all, avoid trigger points as much as you can so that I don't get into that self-harming thought pattern, thought and emotional pattern. Second is be aware that emotions are going to take over. So I have to be present enough. I have to practice enough to tell myself I am not my emotions. These are my emotions playing with me, ego playing with me. This is not the reality. This is not what actually the real truth is. I am a peaceful soul. I act wisely. I have the power. I am conscious enough. I am powerful enough to not identify with my mind. I am the creator of my thoughts. So these things, when you practice this, that energy to the emotions will start uh, fading away, right? Basically, all emotions are modifications of one primordial, undifferentiated emotion that has its origin in the loss of awareness of who you are beyond name and form. Because of its undifferentiated nature, it is hard to find a name that precisely describes this emotion. Fear comes close, but apart from a conscious sense of threat, it also includes a deep sense of abandonment and incompleteness. The author is saying that all emotions are actually just one emotion, undifferentiated. He says that we can say it that under fear, everything comes up. Anger comes up, um, um, or what you call anxiety comes up, depressive phase comes up. But he says that it also includes deep sense of abandonment and incompleteness. खालीपन भी फील होता है और ऐसे लगता है abandonment means nobody loves me, कोई केयर नहीं करता है, nobody understands me, nobody accepts me. So it may be best to use a term that is an undifferentiated as that basic emotion and simply call it pain. So author is trying to say that whatever you're feeling bad, not feeling good, or emotional turmoil is there, just call it pain. In pain, everything will come up. Dukh, pain, grief. You know? One of the main tasks of the mind is to fight or remove that emotional pain, which is one of the reasons for its incessant activity. But all it can ever achieve is to cover it up temporarily. In fact, the harder the mind struggles to get rid of the pain, the greater the pain. The mind can never find the solution, nor can it afford to allow you to find the solution because it is itself an intrinsic part of the problem. Imagine a chief of police trying to find an arsonist, a person who sets something on fire. आगजनी जिसे बोलते हैं. When the arsonist is the chief of police, you will not be free of that pain until you cease to derive your sense of self from identification with the mind, which is to say, from ego. The mind is then toppled from its place of power and being reveals itself as your true nature. So author is saying just call it pain. And one of the main tasks of the mind is to avoid or fight the pain. But he says that it is not possible because mind is itself the intrinsic part of that pain, that problem. वो प्रॉब्लम ठीक करना चाहता है, वो हर तरह का आपको कोपिंग मैकेनिज्म देगा, वो कवर करने की, प्रोटेक्ट करने की कोशिश करेगा, दूसरों को जस्टिफाई करने की या उन्हें ऊंचा बोलने की अ, आपको ऑप्शंस देगा बिकॉज इट वांट्स यू टू बी प्रोटेक्टेड. It wants you to fight that problem, but it is not going to happen because it is just like that a chief of police is trying to find someone when the criminal is chief of the police only. So through mind, we will never be free from pain. This is what the author is saying. So what we have to do, we have to stop identifying from the mind. Yes, I know what you are going to ask. Maybe you must be getting this question in your mind also. What about positive emotions such as love and joy? Author says they are inseparable from your natural state of interconnectedness with being. Glimpses of love and joy or brief moments of deep peace are possible. So, the author is saying that they are inseparable, your true state of interconnectedness with being, which means what we are talking about. I am a soul, and peace, happiness, joy, they are natural to me. We don't have to do anything to feel that. We just have to stop identifying from the things and come back to our own nature that I am a loveful soul, I'm a joyful soul, I'm a peaceful soul. How it is going to happen? He's saying that when we feel that when there is a gap occurs in the stream of thought. For most people, such gaps happen rarely and only accidentally. In moments when the mind is rendered speechless, sometimes triggered by great beauty, extreme physical exertion, or even great danger. Suddenly there is inner stillness. And within that stillness, there is a subtle but intense joy. There is love, there is peace. We feel it in bits and pieces, like people go to adventure sports. Why? Because they feel that inner peace when they are in that danger, bungee jumping or skydiving. Those 10 seconds, they are actually in the present. They're actually peaceful. So externally, we try to do that. Author says usually such moments are short lived as the mind quickly resumes its noise making activity that we call thinking. Love, joy, and peace cannot flourish until you have freed yourself from mind dominance. But they are not what I would call emotions. They lie beyond the emotions on a much deeper level. So you need to become fully conscious of your emotions and be able to feel them before you can feel that which lies beyond them. Emotion literally means disturbance. The author says that love, joy, and peace, first of all, they cannot flourish, you cannot experience this until you free yourself from your mind dominance, what you call thinking. And he says they lie beyond the emotion. They are feeling. They are the true nature of the soul, that eternal and original nature of the soul. But he says, you know what? If you truly want to experience that soul's nature, First, you have to become fully conscious of your emotions, feel them, feel it to heal it. Then the layer will open. One, level will open. Then you will be going to experience what lies beneath, what lies beyond, what lies in me. It reminds me of this analogy that uh, when a deep sea diver, है ना, जब कोई डीप सी डाइवर गोताखोर समुद्र में जाते हैं तो दे लुक फॉर पर्ल्स, ना मोती ढूंढते हैं ना. हाउ डू दे फाइंड दोस पर्ल्स? दे हैव टू गो वेरी डीप. They may not find it every time, right? This is what we have to do. We have to remove all that noise, all that label, one by one, to feel that what lies inside of me. And most of the people in this world uh, have not experienced it at all. And that's why they think that there is no place like this. There's no place like love, joy, and peace, right? The author says love, joy, and peace are deep states of being, or rather, three aspects of the state of inner connectedness with being. These are the three things which we really want. Everyone wants to be peaceful, happy, and loveful. Simple as that. And author says, as such, they have no opposite. This is because they arise from beyond the mind. There is no opposite to love. There is no opposite to joy. There is no opposite to peace. If there is something opposite, it means it was not really peace. It was not really love. It was not really joy, which would come from inside. Maybe it was from outside. So he says this is because they arise from beyond the mind. Emotions, on the other hand, being part of dualistic mind, are subject to the law of opposites. This simply means that you cannot have good without bad. So in the unenlightened, mind identified condition, what is something wrongly called joy is the usually short lived pleasure side of the continuously alternating pain pleasure cycle. Pleasure is always derived from something outside you, whereas joy from inside you. The very thing that gives you pleasure today will give you pain tomorrow, or it will leave you, so its absence will give you pain. And what is often referred to as love may be pleasurable and exciting for a while, but it is an addictive clinging, an extremely needy condition that can turn into its opposite at the flick of a switch. Many love relationships, after the initial euphoria has passed, actually oscillate between love and hate, attraction and attack. So we need to ask ourselves what is the real meaning of peace, joy. Like it is very wrongly used, euphoria, joy, let's say addiction. People smoke, or people do n number of things. But what is that? That is usually short lived. They feel good, but after that, they feel pain. They feel guilty. They don't feel good. And what about relationships? They feel that I am in love, but when they go away, when it is taken away from you, or they are absent, or it becomes needy condition, addictive clinging, attachment. So it turns into opposite at the flick. Love becomes hostile. People become hostile, angry. They hurt each other physically, emotionally, say n number of things. This was not really love. This was not really joy. If there is an opposite to it, this is what we need to understand, right? I hope this is helping you down, helping you out. Okay, so we'll have, yeah, so we'll cover chapter 1 today. Two more pages. Can we do that? It's okay. It is going to take maybe 15 minutes. Is it okay? Because we will cover first chapter so that we'll start the second chapter. Yes, you're allowed to ask question, but after the session, let's cover it up. Okay, I'm getting a yes. Okay, ठीक है. So real love doesn't make you suffer. How could it? It doesn't suddenly turn into hate, nor does real joy turn into pain. As I said, even before you are enlightened, before you have freed yourself from your mind, you may get glimpses of true joy, true love, or true deep inner peace, still but vibrantly alive. These are aspects of your true nature which is usually obscured by the mind. Even within a normal addictive relationship, there can be moments when the presence of something more genuine, something incorruptible can be felt, but they will only be glimpses, soon to be covered up again through mind interferences. It may then seem that you had something very precious and lost it, or your mind may convince you that it was all an illusion away. The truth is that it wasn't an illusion, and you cannot lose it. It is part of your natural state, which can be obscured. Obscured मतलब cover हो गया, दिख नहीं रहा, छुप गया, but can never be destroyed by the mind. Even when the sky is heavily overcast, the sun hasn't disappeared. It's still there on the other side of the clouds. So he says that in a typical relationship, what happens? There are moments of pain and there are moments of happiness, genuinity, है ना? But the thing is, the we have to check the frequency of it. So that true peace, true inner peace, true love, that is my true nature, but this is covered by mind. There are layers of mind on it. So he says that, like, even when the sky is heavily overcast, sun is still there, right? So similarly, even I may not be able to experience that true peace, true happiness within me, but it is still there. The more you tell yourself, the more it will start appearing. So the Buddha says that pain or suffering arises through desire or craving, and that to be free of pain, we need to cut the bonds of desire. All cravings are the mind seeking salvation or fulfillment in external things and in the future as a substitute for the joy of being. As long as I am my mind, I am those cravings, those needs, wants, attachments, and aversions. And apart from them, there is no I, except as a mere possibility, an unfulfilled potential, a seed that has not yet sprouted. In that state, even my desire to become free or enlightened is just another craving for fulfillment or completion in the future. So don't seek to become free of desire or achieve enlightenment. Become present. Be there as the observant of mind. Instead of quoting the Buddha, be the Buddha, the awakened one, which is what the word Buddha means. So it's as simple as that, that those cravings, looking for something, कुछ ढूंढता है हमारा मन. मे बी मैं जब इतने साल का हो जाऊंगा, जब मेरे अकाउंट में इतने पैसे आ जाएंगे, और if I look good, if I, look this, if I get a haircut, if I get a new dress, or I get these many followers, or if I get into a relationship, if I get a good job, if I get a good home, new car, then I will be happy. So what is this? These are the mere possibility, unfulfilled potential, mind seeking fulfillment from the outside. That stage is never going to come. Don't postpone your joy and happiness. वो कभी नहीं आने वाला है. That stage is never going to come. This is what we have to start talking to ourselves again and again. Otherwise, but the author says that as long as I am mind, I am my mind, I am those cravings, I will need that. I am those needs, I am those wants, attachments. So be in the present. This is what author says, and Buddha actually means wisdom, wise. So becoming present actually means I am becoming wise, I am becoming Buddha. Humans have been in the grip of pain for eons, even since they fell from the state of grace, entered the realm of time and mind, and lost awareness of being. At that point, they started to perceive themselves as meaningless fragments in an alien universe, unconnected to source and to each other. This getting attached to the pain is there for years, right? For ages. And we do not really know the source, who is God. And we are actually truly inside of us. We all want to be peaceful. We all want to be happy, but we have forgotten that. So that's why the pain has become inevitable. Pain has become the natural state of being. Pain is inevitable as long as you are identified with your mind. Inevitable means वो नेचुरल लगता है. इनएविटेबल का मतलब होता है श्योर टू हैपन. So pain is like inevitable. It is going to be there as long as you are identified with your mind, which is to say, as long as you are unconscious, spiritually speaking, behosh, unconscious. I am talking here primarily of emotional pain, which is also the main cause of physical pain and physical disease. Resentment, hatred, self pity, guilt, anger, depression, jealousy, and so on, even the slightest irritation, all are forms of pain. All these can come under pain: self pity, guilt, anger, depression, jealousy, and every pleasure or emotional high contains within itself the seed of pain. Its inseparable opposite, which will manifest in time. Anybody who has ever taken drug to get high will know that the high eventually turns into a low, then the pleasure turns into some form of pain. And it's science now. The more high we want to feel, even through social media, web series, reels, the more high we get, notifications, likes, more screen time, it is going to go low. Many people also know from their own experience and how easily and quickly an intimate relationship can turn from a source of pleasure to a source of pain. Seen from a higher perspective, both the negative and the positive polarities are faces of the same coin, are both part of the underlying pain that is inseparable from the mind identified egoic state of consciousness. The same is the case as in the drug, same is the case with the people who think are they are in love, they get into an intimate relationship, but soon it becomes a source of pain. So he says that the root of it is inseparable from the mind identified egoic state of consciousness. Mind identified, think about this term, huh? Try to unpack this on your own. Mind identified egoic state of consciousness. So there are two levels to your pain: the pain that you create now, and the pain from the past that still lives on in your mind and body. Ceasing to create pain in the present and dissolving past pain. This is what I want to talk about now. So that's why we need meditation. First, understanding this is what meditation is. Understanding the pain which we create now, mind identified, it wants to go in the past, future, illusion, delusions, perspectives. This is what creating the pain. That's why we need to tell ourselves, I am not my mind. Come to the center. I am a peaceful soul. I am a joyful soul. This is my nature. And to heal ourselves from the past pain. We'll talk about it later. How to heal ourselves from those pain, right? So we have to dissolve these pain. Okay. So yeah. So chapter 1 is finished. Congratulations. So uh, how was it? How was today's experience? Uh, can anyone wants to share this? Wants to answer? How was today's experience? You can reply, and anyone who wants to just turn on the mic and want to share, just short because it's already 4:20. Just for 1 minute. Okay, Sujata, are you able to? Can you turn on your video? Are you in the position to turn on the video? Yeah. Please unmute her, team. Yeah.
Shanti, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, today's reading part was really very helpful because it is first time we are listening to such words like exact definition of emotion and what causes emotional pain. It is little bit difficult to understand, but if we like think over it, then we will understand it more deeply. This is just first introduction.
Yes. Yes. The main thing is to be in that awareness and work throughout the day. That is going to bring that jewels, that treasure of true happiness, peace, and bliss. Right. That's wonderful. Okay. Okay, great. I think she has some network issues. So let's move on. Let me ask you the question and let me see who's going to answer from today's. So today, Eckhart Tolle discussed at length the concept of the mind and ego as source of suffering. How do you interpret the relationship between the mind, ego, and your sense of self? Have you observed moments in your life when your mind or ego took control? Okay, yes, Anika sister.
Om Shanti,
Shanti.
Hanji. Um, the way it says in the book as well that ego is the present moment. Uh, it says that the present moment hardly exists to the ego. I think it's one of the lines in the book. So I think it's what I understand is I always say our ego mind. That's how I look at it. That it's our ego mind, and it feeds on the vibration of fear and competition. So it always wants to win in any situation, and it wants to seek power. It's very short lived and often regretted. Uh, it makes us feel the judgments and all that are being passed to us. They're all realistic, and then we also feel that the revenge is justified. So there are too many expectations of the ego mind, and it feels angry and disappointed when things don't turn out. So as I've started to understand what our true self is, it is usually when we connect to the divine that we feel the vibration of love. So that's a very subtle feeling, subtle thought that comes in our mind because usually it's just controlled by the ego mind. So it's a very slow and very subtle voice that comes from inside. He don't do it, but the ego mind is so powerful. It's so overwhelming that we always just listen to our ego mind. I think you'll explain the sono mono concept. So, so the thing is that we need to be more in awareness to understand that inner feeling of peace. So I think the other question was how many instances have you felt, uh, your mind, ego. So I feel there have been a number of instances. It usually is that the ego overpowers the subtle voice that comes from inside. But I guess there is when meditation comes in and self awareness, what our divine virtues are. All those things help in increasing our soul power, and so that we can be more aware of the situation. Thank you.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Somebody wrote it very precisely that mind gets hijacked by ego. That's so true. Actually, there is a word to it. The brain gets hijacked, actually. There is a term known as amygdala hijack. Amygdala is a place in the brain which is responsible for deciding, taking a right decision. So it actually gets hijacked. So very wonderfully explained. So anyone who wants to answer the second question, what is the meaning of the word emotion as described in this book? Anyone wants to answer? How does the vicious cycle build up between your thinking and emotion? Do you remember? Can you do that? Anyone? हिंदी भी चलेगा, don't worry, कोई बात नहीं. Just one line भी चलेगी, एक line भी चलेगी. We are trying to create a circle here, the reading circle. You are going to read also in future. So, yes, Sujata ma'am, very good.
Yeah, I got disconnected last time when I was talking. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, the meaning of the word emotion described in this book is our body's reaction to our thoughts. And it is
yes.
actually an amplified thought. That is what I understood.
Very good, very good. Yes, I think Vipin Kumar wants to add to it. Yes, please, you can go ahead.
Thank you for unmuting me. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Actually, from today's class, I understand that the emotion is the thought which comes into the body, and body will show that thought. That is called the emotion. Thank you.
Yes, yes, very good, very good. This is just a reflection of what is running in my mind. That is the reflection in our body. This is what emotion is. And as I explained, this is the vicious circle. It gets amplified and that vibration level goes low. And again, the mind feeds negative thought. Okay. So I wanted to ask two more questions, but I think let's just leave this because um, um, we are already over time. So we'll take the other questions tomorrow or in the future sessions. Okay. Uh, okay. That's great then. All right. So it was a wonderful discussion with you all, and we have covered chapter one. We will slowly and steadily start increasing our speed also, and we all will start doing reading on our own also. Okay. So be ready, be prepared, and I believe that you read that book after this session also. So keep it like not just classwork, HW also, homework also. Okay, be a good student. So it is going to help you understand more and more and more of it. So yes, today's homework we'll do it through meditation. So let's take 2 minutes for meditation. So sit straight and if possible, feet touching the ground to feel that connection with Mother Nature and tell yourself that I am not my mind, I am not my emotions. Originally, I am a peaceful being. My true nature is to be peaceful, joyful, loveful. If today, tomorrow, any situation comes up from outside or inside, which wants to create pain, anxiety, guilt, I will be aware of it. I am present enough to understand ego, mind, identified, egoic self of consciousness, which wants to stay in pain, जो दुखी ही रहना चाहती है, and I am not identified with it. वो मैं नहीं हूँ. I am conscious enough, powerful enough to tell myself I am not my emotions. I go deep into my realm of being, like a diver. I'm diving deep into my unconsciousness, my nature, and I'm finding those jewels of peace, joy inside of me. This is who I am at the core in reality. Om Shanti. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best and see you soon.
Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful, 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 I'm so grateful. Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful.